we know Tavares, Matthew Knies, like that's been a big story. Putting those two aside, unless you have an update on that, like what else are the Leafs trying to do here? What do you think Brad Treliving is, trying to attack in terms of his roster building plan?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of everything, right? I mean, he's trying to add more competitive players. There's some names that won't surprise you that we know are out there, like Yarncroke and David Camp and guys like that on the trade front. But that's probably lower down the list. I mean, again, teams are big game hunting or bigger game hunting right now on the trade front. And then you go into free agency and you shop around there and you see what it looks like. And if you don't get the player or players that you're looking for, then maybe you explore the interest that you might have in the players that I've mentioned from the Maple Leafs. I mean, he's grinding away on Tavares and Knies. There's no doubt about that. And, this morning it sounded like it was really slow moving. I think that there's been progress made today. And I'm careful and hesitating in how I describe this because, to be fair, I don't know if it's solely with Tavares. And if it is, I'm fascinated to understand and see what the complexity of that deal would look like. But he's been grinding away on Matthew Knies as well. Those two guys are obviously the priority as you head into the weekend. I think he'd like to get them done ASAP so that you can focus on the draft. If there's a trade that makes some sense, okay, well, that can happen in Los Angeles as well. Not that Treliving will be there. But then, you flip over on July 1st to focusing on, okay, well, Florida hasn't signed Brad Marchand yet. What does that deal look like? Let's kick into free agency gear. So his plate is full. There's a lot going on. But again, it smells like there's at least some progress being made, especially with Tavares.
Yeah, and I'm curious they're two players on completely different ends of the spectrum. Like Tavares is 35 and Knies is a young kid who's on RFA. But I wonder if there's, a bold number in mind, that Treliving would be comfortable if you combine the two, per year. In other words, I got $12 million that I want to split up between the two. I don't know. I'm using that arbitrarily, but like, do you see a connection there? As they're trying to put the dollars, together here. That the Knies and Tavares, the combined money is what kind of has to be figured out before they can move to that next step, like you said.
Yeah, well, for obvious reasons, you want John Tavares at the lowest AAV possible.
Yes.
Right? The absolute lowest. How creative can you be to get there? Because you also know that John on the open market is worth way more than the Toronto Maple Leafs have the stomach to pay him. And we know we don't have to go down this road again. We all know that he's willing to take a hometown discount. But there's only so far you can go with that knife before the cut is too deep. And I think that Toronto is recognizing and acknowledging that to some degree in the discussion. But it's not just those two guys, because now you're also creating space. Like, how do you, if Brad Marchand doesn't get a deal done to extend in Florida, how are you making that work, right? Like, you're going to have to be super creative with term. And you're talking about older players here that you can see helping you for 2, maybe 3 more years. But what happens after that, right? And if you're Brad Marchand, you go, hey, boys, I just want another Stanley Cup. That's not my problem. I deserve to get paid, and I'm going to get paid. If it's not in Florida and it's not in Toronto, then it's somewhere else.